Okay, in this tutorial we're looking at section 12.3, which is the continuous probability density function. Now, in the last tutorial we were introduced to our probability density functions, okay, but our probability density functions can also be a hybrid. Okay, so that just means that they can be made up of multiple parts. Okay, so the probability that A is less than or equal to X is less than or equal to B is equal to the probability that A is less than or equal to X is less than B, which equals the probability that A is less than X is less than or equal to B, which is equal to the probability that A is less than X is less than B. Okay, so just remembering it doesn't actually matter whether we include the including sign or not. Okay, they're all equal. Okay, also our probability that A is less than or equal to X is less than or equal to B is equal to the probability that A is less than X is less than or equal to C, plus the probability that C is less than X is less than or equal to B, where A is less than C is less than B. Okay, so that just means we can break up our integral or our area into however many parts we want, find them separately and put them together. Okay, so what we mean by our hybrid functions is we could say, well, f of x, okay, is equal to some combination. So it could be g of x for x is less than or equal to 0, and it could be h of x for x is greater than 0 but less than 4, and then 0 elsewhere. Okay, it could be something like that, just where there's a combination of functions going into making our probability density function. Okay, so look, it's very similar to what we've done in 12.2. So we'll just have a look at one of our worked examples. Okay, and there's only one that we've got to look at. Okay, which is worked example 3. Okay, so we've got a continuous random variable y this time. Okay, has a probability density function f of y equals minus ay between -3 and 0. Okay, and ay between 0 and 3 and 0 elsewhere. Okay, for part A we need to sketch the graph of f of x. Okay, so sketching this graph, okay, what we find is we're going to be going like this. It's going to be symmetrical. Okay, we're going to be going up to 3 and down to -3. Okay, we're going to be going up to 3a up there. Okay, because if we sub our 3 in for y, then we're going to get our 3a. Okay, and so for this we're saying this is y and this is f of y. Okay, so our function would look like that. Part B is find the value of the constant a. Okay, well what we need to do is we need to integrate this. Okay, so we need to basically find the area here, okay, and set it equal to 1. Okay, well we can see that this is equal to that, okay, and that this triangle here would actually make up that triangle there as well. So you can really say that 3 times 3a is equal to 1. So 9a is equal to 1, so a is equal to 1 on 9. Okay, so whenever you can use your knowledge of geometry, okay, to solve these things. Okay, don't integrate unless you absolutely have to. Okay, so we know that a is 1 on 9. Okay, now for part C, we need to determine. Okay, for part C, we want to find the probability that y is greater than or equal to 1 is less than or equal to 3. Okay, so this time we are going to need to integrate. Okay, so we're going to integrate from 1 to 3. Okay, we need to think, well, we're in this part of our equation here. Okay, so it's going to be y on 9 dy. Okay, which means when we do that, that we get y squared on 18 outside of our 3 and 1. Okay, which means we get 3 squared on 18 plus 1 squared on minus 1 squared on 18. Okay, which means we get 9 on 18 minus 1 on 18, which gives us our 8 on 18 which equals 4 on 9. Okay? And then part D, we need to determine, so what we need to do for part D is we want to find the probability that y is less than 2 given that y is greater than -1. Okay, so we're doing a given question for this one. Okay, so what we need to do is find the probability that y is less than 2 intersect y is greater than -1 over a probability that y is greater than -1. Okay. So what that means is when we're finding this part, okay, really if we're finding the top line is where they're going to intersect, so that means the probability that y is greater than -1 and less than 2. Okay, so you can see the problem that we've got here, okay, is we're spanning our two domains. So we're looking at being from here, okay, -1 up to there. Okay, so we have to do this in parts. So we can say, well, that's going to equal probability of y being greater than -1 and less than 0 plus the probability that y is greater than 0 and less than 2. So we have to add them together. So we have to do two integrations here. So we're going to integrate from -1 to 0, okay, of our minus y on 9 dy, okay, plus our integral from 0 to 2 of y on 9 dy. Okay, so we have to do it in parts. Okay, so that means that we're going to get then -y squared on 18, -1 to 0, plus we're going to get y squared on 18, 0 to 2. Okay, when we do that, okay, we find, well, we're going to be 0 for the first part, okay, and we're going to be -1 squared, and then it'll be negative though, so it'll be -1 on 18. Okay. No, sorry, it'll be +1 on 18, sorry. And then when we look at this one, we're going to be sub our 2 in, gives us 4. Okay, our 0 will give us nothing, so it'll be 4 on 18. Okay, which gives us an area of 5 on 18. Okay, so that's for our top line. Okay, but we also need the probability that we are greater than -1. Okay, so that means that we're going to need this area plus all of this area. Okay, is what we're going to need there. Okay, so we would need to be integrating two parts again. Okay, which would be this part, which we already know the answer to, but we also would need to integrate from 0 to 3 of y on 9 dy. Okay, however, we can make it a bit easier for ourselves because we know this area on this side here is equal to half. So we know that we're going to be 1 on 18 plus a half, okay, which is equal to 5 on 9. So we know when we integrate that part, that's a half. Okay, and we know that our -1 to 0, okay, is going to be our 1 on 18. Okay, so this part is equal to our probability that y is greater than -1. Okay, so I'll change colours and I'll move across a little bit. Okay, so to finish it off, okay, what we need to do is say, well, it's our answer from here, our 5 on 18, okay, divided by our 5 on 9. Okay, so we flip and multiply 5 on 18 times by 9 on 5. Our 5's cancel out, gives us 9 on 18, which also gives us a half. Okay, so the probability that y is less than 2, given that y is greater than -1, is equal to, 1 on 2. Okay, so that's the only worked example we've got for this section. As I said, it's very similar to section 12.2, so you shouldn't have too many dramas getting through these questions.